Hey everyone, welcome to an NFL video. In this one, we are dumpster diving for picks because guess what? We cannot play all the guys we want to every single week. It would be all fun and games to be able to play Mahomes, Kelsey, Sammy Watkins, Keenan Allen, Julio Jones, and Christian McCaffrey all in the same lineup, but we cannot do that. But we can fit a couple of those guys in if we pair them up with a cheap scrub. I'm not saying they're actual scrubs, but just their pricing. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to find some of those cheap guys that I think can hit value. Anyway, before we continue, you could leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. We're getting really close to 2K subs, so I appreciate everyone that has subscribed. And if you're new, like I said, please help me out and hit that subscribe button. And you can also find me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16, and all my spreadsheets are available in the link in the description below. And I think that's it. So let's get into the video. So the first guy I want to talk about is someone I've talked about in almost every single video that I've made this week. I've had a core plays video, the chalk, first look, and there was another video I forget, but you can look back if you haven't seen them yet. But it is Josh Allen. He's looking to be my cash game quarterback this weekend. He gets a soft matchup versus the Cincinnati defense, which is really anything but a very good defense. So there shouldn't be too much resistance here. And Josh Allen is great for fantasy. Is he a really good real-life quarterback? No, he is not. I know I've said this like 20 times this week, but it's just the same notes. But he scored just about 20 points each week so far. He has had a rushing touchdown in both games. He's had 17 attempts on the ground. And, he's not the most accurate quarterback in the world, but he does have a cannon for an arm. He can connect on a long ball, and if he does that, you're going to be very happy. He's had over 250 yards each game and a touchdown. And he's had one rushing touchdown each game. So I think he provides you a very safe floor, and he's really fun to watch. He's kind of like white Cam, if that makes any sense. So I do think, I should say Cam back in the day. Cam does not run anymore. So, yeah, Josh Allen I think is a fantastic play. Only 5,900, doesn't break the bank. I know it would be fun to play Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, but it's really hard to do that in cash games because it's going to sacrifice, like a bell cow running back or a stable wide receiver like Julio Jones or Keenan Allen. So I do like the savings we get with Josh Allen, and I think he's got a ceiling similar to theirs, and he's got a very safe floor as well with his rushing ability. Next guy is Kyler Murray at 5,800. He is only 100 less than Josh Allen, and I think these two actually compete for the highest owned quarterback of the week in cash games, just because people tend to spend down in cash games because we need those stable running backs, wide receivers. GPPs, you can take a shot at, spending up for quarterbacks like I did last week with Patrick Mahomes, and I didn't play Josh Allen, which Josh Allen was the highest owned quarterback in cash games. Mahomes went under the radar just a little bit. But yeah, Kyler Murray, he also runs the ball. He hasn't really done that much this year. He only has 6 rushing attempts, but he does have the capabilities. He's very fast, but he's been slinging the rock just a ton this season. He's had over 300 yards each game. I will say week 1, he did go into overtime, but hey, he still did it. It still counts. He had 54 passing attempts week 1. Again, overtime, but still. And 40 attempts week 2 versus Baltimore. You all know Baltimore has a very good defense, and he threw the ball over 40 times, got 349 passing yards, did not throw a touchdown, did not rush a touchdown, and he still got 19 points. That's a pretty safe floor to me. Now he gets a matchup versus Carolina, who does not intimidate me too much. It should be a back-and-forth game. Arizona plays at a fast pace. They run a ton of plays with Cliff Kingsbury, and Kyler Murray seems to, he seems to be doing just fine so far in the NFL. I know a lot of people were kind of in doubt about him, and I was a little bit, but he's proving to be not too bad so far. And if he can start running the ball a ton, we're going to be very happy in fantasy. And like I said, he still scored 20 points last week without recording a touchdown. That's pretty hard to do. He did get that 300-yard bonus, and I like Kyler Murray this week as a cheap quarterback option. I do prefer Josh Allen, and he's only 100 more, but Murray is not a bad second option. Then the last guy, it's kind of gross. It's Jameis Winston, someone I really liked week 1 a lot, and he crashed and burned. Only scored 10 points, and he had 13 points last week. And week 1? What was he? 6,600, I believe. Is that on? Yeah, he was 6,600 week 1. Now he's 5,400. So I do like the savings we get there. I don't love this play, but again, we are dumpster diving here, and I think he's worth a shot if you want to pair him up with his receiving options, because he's got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, O.J. Howard, who's just not having a good start to this season. But Arians did say the balls will come, so maybe they do. But this isn't about O.J. Howard. This is about Jameis Winston. There's not a lot to say. He's not a good quarterback. He should be better than he is, though. He's got Bruce Arians as his head coach. He's got good weapons. It's frustrating, but he's playing the New York Giants, who are pretty much dead last in the league in all aspects of everything besides the running back, and they got a good tight end. I know Danny Dimes is playing. Maybe this game's a little bit back and forth, But still, the Giants do not have a very good defense whatsoever. They've been allowing a ton of points to the quarterback position so far this season. So if you want to play Jameis Winston, I think this is the week to do it. Now that he's very cheap at 5,400, he does not need to do a lot to hit value. Week 1, he had to get over 20 points to feel good about anything. This week, he only needs to get you about 15 points. Hopefully, get you more than 20. Pair him up with Mike Evans, who's been, he's having a down season so far. Pair him up with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Got a nice GPP play there, I think. I'm not going to do Winston in cash because he sucks, but in GPPs, I think it's fine because of his price tag, and he's at home. And the Giants, again, are not good. So that's going to be it for the quarterbacks. Oops, I think I messed my thing up. Let's see. Nope, okay. I just want to make sure you guys can see the players when I... Okay, so at running back, there is not one cheap running back I am very confident in Sunday. So it's going to be more of a mid-range play. But, I mean, LaShawn McCoy, I guess he's fine because Damian Williams is out, but still it's against Baltimore. So I don't feel good about that, and I think Marlon Mack is the only viable option down here. And Miles Sanders is cheap, but again, I do not want to play it. Philadelphia Eagles running back. So let's talk about Marlon Mack at 5,800. He logged in a practice today, which was very important because in the video yesterday he was questionable, and I said I liked him a lot, but we didn't know if he was healthy. He's trending towards playing, which is good, and he's going to see over 20 plus touches versus the Atlanta Falcons, who we all know have one of the worst defenses in the league when it comes to fantasy running backs. They just bleed points to the position. They allow a ton of receptions to the position. Not like Marlon Mack is a huge reception guy, but he did have 3 targets last week, which is promising. But still, they're terrible on the ground and through the air when it comes to running backs. He's going to log over 20 touches versus them. Week 1 versus a much tougher Chargers team, he had 174 yards. I know a lot of that came from a 63-yard touchdown. But still, you're going to give me 20-plus touches versus an Atlanta Falcons defense who sucks versus the running back position. You can sign me up all day. They're near dead last in DVOA. Terrible versus pass-catching running backs. Allowed nearly the most points per game last season with over 30 points per game. Marlon Mack is the workhorse on this offense, and if they're playing with a lead, that's even better for him because he's not a big pass catcher, and then he can grind the ball out versus that bad run defense. So Marlon Mack makes a ton of sense for tomorrow. I keep saying tomorrow, it's Friday, for Sunday. And I think he's a good salary relief option that's going to give you over guaranteed 20 touches. And at the wide receiver position, we're going to start with John Brown at 5,500. Now, he barely made the threshold of being cheap, but I wanted to throw him on here anyway. I think he's a fantastic play this week, especially since I like Josh Allen. I have to like his number 1 target. He scored 28 points in week 1, 14 points week 2. He saw 10 targets in week 1, 8 targets in week 2, got 7 receptions in both games. He's got big play upside. He's a perfect fit with Josh Allen. Josh Allen can throw a deep ball. Accurately, no, but if he gets lucky, it'll hit the receiver in his hands. And John Brown is a deep threat guy, so it's a great fit with Josh Allen. If he can get loose versus Cincinnati defense, which I think he definitely can, because like I've said before, Cincinnati does not have a very good defense, especially on the ground, versus the run. It doesn't matter. John Brown should have a good game, and if he gets loose behind the secondary and him and Josh Allen connect, you are going to be sitting pretty at only 5,500. And then next guy is Emmanuel Sanders at, I guess that doesn't go by salary, but so we'll go with Larry Fitzgerald first at 5,100. I like him a lot this week, and he's one of my favorite cash game plays just because of how consistent he's been so far this season. I know it's only 2 games, but it's Larry Fitzgerald. He's a consistent receiver. He's not like a big boom-bust guy. And he scored 28 points week 1 versus Detroit. He had 13 targets, 8 receptions, over 100 yards. Week 2, he got over 100 yards again on 11 targets for 5 receptions. He's being used down the field. He has not been used down the field in a long time, and he's still showing the capabilities of being able to stretch the field. Kyler Murray likes throwing him the ball. He's gotten a ton of targets so far this season, 24 targets, broken the 100-yard mark twice. I think he's a fantastic play versus Carolina. You should be able to get open. Kyler Murray's going to look his way, and if people like Kyler Murray, they have to like his weapon. So I think Larry Fitzgerald's a fantastic play, and he's very cash viable in my opinion. And Christian Kirk, he's pretty much the same play as Larry Fitzgerald. Maybe not as safe of a play, but he's still got double-digit points each game. 20 points last week, got tackled near the 1-yard line. Could have even had a bigger week. And I think if he did get that touchdown, a lot more people would be talking about him, although he is getting talked up this week. And then 10 points week 1. He's had 12 targets and 8 targets. Did not catch most of his targets week 1, but we'll let it slide. He should be fine. He's got big play upside, so I do like Christian Kirk as well as Larry Fitzgerald. And then Emmanuel Sanders comes in at 4,800. He's one of my favorite cash game plays of the week. I've said it a lot in all my videos. He's on my core plays video. He's way too cheap this week. I know Green Bay's defense is improved, but still, he's only 4,800, and he's a great receiver. I know he's coming off the Achilles injury, but it seems to have not bothered him whatsoever, which is insane. So props to him on that. But he scored 20 points week 1, 28 points week 2. He's seeing a heavy workload. He's the number 1 wide receiver in this offense for Joe Flacco. I know that's not exciting, but Joe Flacco can get him the ball. Now he doesn't get a lot of yards per catch, but still, he's gotten in the end zone both weeks. So I think Emmanuel Sanders is a fantastic play at this price tag for the volume and talent you're getting at only 4,800. Next guy is going to be Nelson Aguilar at 3,600, who I think he's a very good cash game play, and he's going to be very highly owned. It wouldn't surprise me if he's top 3 in ownership on the slate or just for receivers, because Philly is a mess right now. Jeffrey's hurt, Deshaun Jackson's hurt, Dallas Goedert's banged up. Not as serious as the other two. But still, last week when those guys went out, he came in, he got a heavier workload. I say workload, heavier target share, I guess, if you want to call it that. He got 11 targets, 8 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Could have been 2 touchdowns if the guy didn't have stone hands. He could have won the Eagles the game. So I'm sure you guys are a little bit mad at it from your Eagles fans. But that's what Nelson Aguilar does. He's not the best receiver in the world, but he's going to see volume at 3,600 from a good quarterback in Carson Wentz. 27 points last week. At 3,600, just fire him up. He's going to allow you to spend up for guys like Christian McCaffrey or Keenan Allen, so you're going to take that salary. And in cash games, he's going to be so high owned, it doesn't matter what he does. If you want to fade him in GPPs, I totally get that, because Nelson Aguilar chalk can never be fun. But in cash games, I think you just eat the chalk there and then fit the high-end guys you want in. Then some really just big pump plays. Devin Smith at 3,400 going up against the Miami Dolphins defense. He gets a matchup versus Eric Rowe, who has been literally the worst corner in the league so far this season. He is absolutely awful. If you look at the wide receiver versus cornerback chart on my spreadsheet, he has the biggest advantage by far, which is boosting his projections quite a bit. He's actually coming in as my number 1 ranked value wide receiver just because of that matchup. And, he can do it in this matchup versus Eric Rowe. He's very fast. He's got speed. He's a deep play. He's a deep threat guy. And Dak Prescott has looked good so far this season. He had 3 targets last week. I know it's not a lot, but like I said, this is a pump play for GPPs. Aguilar's the cash guy. Devin Smith sounds like the good GPP guy in my opinion. He got 74 yards, had a 51-yard touchdown going down the middle, 16 points last week. If he can replicate that at 3,400, you're going to be very, very happy. He draws a good matchup. He's going to see an uptick in targets because Michael Gallup is gone, so Devin Smith makes sense in GPPs. If you want to play Dak Prescott and Devin Smith, do that little pairing, I think that's fine. And then all the way down here at 3K, we have Damari Bird. I don't know where he's going to be yet, so let me search his name. So this guy it's not a fun play at all. But he's had 8 points week 1, 10 points week 2, and he's min-priced at 3K, and he's on the field a ton. He's had 7 targets the first 2 weeks, 4 receptions week 1, 6 receptions week 2. Has not found the end zone, but he's on the field a ton, and people like Kyler Murray, so you got to like his weapons. Well, guess what? Kirsten Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald are going to carry all the ownership in GPPs. Damari Bird is dirt cheap. He's going to allow you to spend up at other positions, and he's on the field a lot. And you don't get that a lot at 3K. You kind of hope the guy gets like 10% of the snaps at this price tag. Like I said, he's on the field a ton. Only 3K. He makes a lot of sense in my opinion. So don't hate Damari Bird. And he's been scoring. It's not like he hasn't had any points this season. He's got 8 points and 10 points. So at 3K, if he gets in the end zone, you're going to be happy. And even with 10 points, you're going to be happy as well. All right, let's go to the tight end position. We got a couple guys here. I don't know if Mark Andrews counts as a cheap guy, but if he does, I love him. I talked about him forever in my other videos, so I'm not going to replicate that. But I love this game. Mark Andrews has been an absolute stud. So obviously like Mark Andrews, but I guess he's a little bit too expensive when it comes to being a tight end. So we'll talk about some other guys. So we will start with Greg Olson at 3,700. Now I know Cam Newton is out, but Kyle Allen should be able to get him the ball. It's not like Cam Newton's been anything special this season anyway. He's had 9 targets the first 2 weeks, and I know this was a different quarterback. But Olson looked good last week. He had 110 yards, 20 fantasy points, did not get into the end zone. Now he gets a matchup versus the Arizona Cardinals, who have been dreadful on defense this season, especially to the tight end position. They gave up a ton of points to TJ Hawkinson, who flopped the next week, although it was against the Chargers, which is a tough matchup, but still. And they gave up a ton of points to Mark Andrews, who looks like a stud. I guess the jury's still on that. He's had 2 easy matchups. but still, and they made Andrews look like a stud. They've made T.J. Hawkinson look like a stud. And Greg Olson, he's an established veteran. I know doesn't run the ball. He can't, he's not a big catch and run guy. He's not as athletic as he used to be. But I think Greg Olson is a safe play at only 3,700. He should be a safety blanket for Kyle Allen. So I think Olson's fine at 3,700. And then at 3,600, I think Austin Hooper is in play. I mean, outside of the high-end tight ends, it's kind of gross when you get down here, but he's getting targets. He's had 15 targets through 2 weeks. Week 1 versus Minnesota, he caught all 9 of his targets for 77 yards. Did not get into the end zone, but he did score 16 points. Week 2 versus Philly in a tougher matchup, scored 7 points, still had 6 targets, 4 catches for 34 yards. If he gets to the end zone, you're going to be happy. He gets a matchup versus Indianapolis, who has struggled with the tight end position the last 2 seasons, or I guess last season in this 2 games. This season so far. So Austin Hooper, I think, is in play at this price tag. But again, it's not an exciting play, but he shouldn't completely flop and get you 0 points. He's going to see targets. And then at the defense, we got a couple. In cash games, I'd love to get up to the Cowboys and Patriots. I don't know how easy it's going to be. We're going to do a lineup building video very shortly after this one. So we'll see if we can fit them in. But if you're dumpster diving, I think the Chargers at 2,500 are doable. I know it's scary to play defense versus Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, but outside of that, they don't have a very good offense. The offensive line struggles. I know they got Larry Tunsil, but still, Deshaun Watson's going to give up sacks. I mean, you get a couple turnovers, maybe, but they are playing at home, and they can get to the quarterback. They got Joey Bosa. They got those kind of guys. So at 2,500, I don't hate it. Not the best play in the world, but still, we saw Houston struggle versus a good defense last week, and Jacksonville only put up 12, 13 points. So I think they are in play at only 2,500. Actually rank out as, I believe, the best value in my model. I had to double check that. It's either them or the Steelers. But so speaking of the Steelers, they're only 2,300. Do they have the best defense in the world? No. Do they have the worst defense in the world? No. And they are playing San Francisco, who I know has looked good so far, but still they do not need to do much to hit value here. They scored 0 points week 1. As against New England, most defenses would score 0. Versus Seattle, though, not a terrible offense, but not the best. They still scored 7 points. That was at home, though. Now they travel to San Francisco. But I think they should be fine at 2,300. Get you 5 points, you'll be happy. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 2,900. So originally in the beginning of the week, I really liked the Tampa defense because I was assuming Eli Manning was still going to be the starter. He is not now, so maybe that's a downgrade to the Buccaneers. We'll see. It's still a rookie quarterback making his first start. And he is on the road, so Tampa Bay is going to be at home. I like that for defenses, and they've looked a little bit better this season. I know it's versus San Francisco and Carolina, but they bottled up Christian McCaffrey. They were fine versus San Francisco. Got that defensive touchdown, 12 and 9 points so far. Rookie quarterback, playing a rookie quarterback at home usually is a recipe for success. So I don't think Daniel Jones is going to light the world on fire. It's going to be better for the Giants offense, but still I think they'll be fine for the Buccaneers defense. And that's really going to be it for the video, I think. Check my notes here. Did I miss anyone? I did not. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And if you like my content, I have extra content in the link in the description below. And then I'll post my new video after I post this one pretty shortly. Just got to charge my laptop a little bit. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.